Hi, so this is my response video for the TED Talks. Um, First, I would like to start off talking about the washing machine one that the man speaker talked about. I thought first it was interesting that he compared the amount of people to the amount of energy points that they use, and how 2 billion of people below the poverty line only use um, each billion uses like half a energy point, whereas the one at the top of in the like small percentage of the 1 billion that live above um, $80 a day or $40 a day or something use 6 energy points, and how the environmental students that he would teach would talk about how that they were worried that if we gave everyone a washing machine or we gave everyone a car, that our natural resources and our environment would collapse. And how it was so interesting to me how he described that they were worried and said, no, we cannot give these people these resources, and how we basically need to discriminate against them because they can't get these resources, because if they do, then everyone will be using more energy points. But then he goes on to talk about how we could start using more green energy, and how that could solve the problem of using too much of our energy resources. And so, even with that potential problem of trying to develop the rest of the world, we can make solutions so that everyone can have equal amounts of access to a washing machine. Okay, so now I'd like to go to the second video, which was more about gender empowerment and specifically with women. And I thought it was interesting how the speaker compared it with the last 2 centuries. And she explained that the central moral challenge in the 19th century was slavery. Then in the 20th century was totalitarianism. But in this century, it's the oppression of women and girls throughout the world. So it's interesting how um, we've overcome a lot of things like slavery and totalitarianism, but elements of both of those things are still being seen with women and girls um, over the entire globe. They like human trafficking is mostly with girls, and that is slavery, which most of the world feels like we have overcome since the 19th century. And then totalitarianism, just wanting to be able to control females. And honestly, the male population in many of these developing countries is totalitarianistic, because they don't want the women to be able to rise and to um, be educated. They want them to stay in ignorance. So the next point I'd like to talk about is how the speaker said women and girls aren't the problem, they are the solution. Because of what Bill Gates said when he said, if you are not fully utilizing half the talent in your country, you are not going to get too close to the top 10, to a Saudi Arabian leader who wanted to get in the top 10 of like energy production or something. I thought it was so interesting that he was able to say that and put that into words, because it's true. If these developing countries would educate their women and girls and make them be able to be members of society that could contribute because of their education and because they were seen on a more equal ground, then the problems in many of their countries would go away, and would solve themselves because they're utilizing half of the brain in their country now. And even like looking at our own country, the enrollment rate for women in college is now rising above that of men, and because of that, we are still being able to um, get ahead in the world, and more we're seeing women at the forefront of scientific discoveries, of medical discoveries, of uh, in any aspect. There's more women in government our in our country now. So I think it's very important for us to realize that because we have incorporated women and empowered them in our country, we have been able to see the positive effects of that, and that we should also continue to help the rest of the developing world be able to see that and be able to realize that women are just as important as men in all aspects and should be taken care of as such. Thank you.